Should find the link. Hopefully. It says that I'm live now, so I'm assuming that now I need to reset it like this. I just need to find the link of the stream here, so that I can post it on the Discord, but it's not showing up in my... There we are. Finally. Right, now I can post to the Discord that I'm streaming. Should be in there. Control V like this. There we are. There's the announcement. Sorry for the slow start. Hopefully there are people here. Hopefully you can see me. Hopefully the connection is good. It's looking like everything is coming alive right now. Took me a little bit of time, but we should be all set now. The only thing I need is a drink. And now we're ready to go. So as you can see from the stream title, there's a new release out, new music, exclamation point release should get you there, but there's also links in the description of the stream, so you can go check out our new music. I do hope that you do. I say our new music because, as you may have heard, I started a label with some friends. One of them is even in the stream chat. Hello, Mindbee. So we started a label. And our first batch of music is out now, so you can go and listen to it. And I hope that you do, even if you're watching the stream back. This is fairly early on in the intro. Go check out our music in the description. Anyway, for today, I just want to do some more production. This is eventually gonna go on the Eclipse label as well, hopefully, this track. And what I'm doing right now is I'm working off of one-shots. The idea came about for this track, or my most recent idea that I want to implement in this track came about when I created this sound. So like a very soft sound, but a very glitchy one, right? And it fits the track super well. And since we already have kind of like a very strong lead element in this sequence and we already have the vocals in here, I want to do more with this idea as well in the very soft but very glitchy sounds. So I have another sound that I want to try and chop up maybe. So maybe like... something like that maybe. Let's remove the clicks. Just gonna see if this pattern is gonna fit where I want it to. Because I don't have a spot yet where exactly I want to place this in. No clicks, that's nice. Maybe below the vocal here will work, but the vocal needs quite a lot of space, I think. If I'm gonna do this, it's definitely too loud on this part here. Gonna see if I need to adapt the pattern to what I have in this vocal. Because I think, yeah, the energy is more bended towards here. Subject Ultra, welcome. Davey, welcome. Keep doing what you do. I'm 50. My ears are old. I Hate It Here, Season 2, welcome. I will keep doing this. I am quite aware of the fact that your ears can go backwards very quickly doing this. But I do tend to, or I do hope that I am taking good care of him. And making sure that I don't get any issues with that in the future. I quite like this. I'm going to add this to it as well. Nice. This is the kind of sound that I guess I can put in earlier parts as well. Let me see. I believe this is... Yes. Very wobbly and bobbly sound. I don't want it to be that. Maybe more like this, yeah.
I'll tell you what I know. 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 I'll tell you what I know.
I think what I want to do is I want to just use the tail of this so that it gets more of like a stringy vibe, and that then can be a riser from, I guess, all the way over here to all the way over there. Something that just kind of slowly fades in over time. Not a critique, I like you. Thank you, but it is something that I take into account, and seeing as you brought it up, I thought I would talk about it. It's not like I'm taking it up as critique of what I'm doing or anything like that. It's just I like to interact with the people that are in my chat, and sometimes that means that I also talk about the things that they talk about. Let's see. I think it's maybe a bit too much towards the beginning here. Yeah, let's take it from here, for example. Now it's a little bit shorter, but that doesn't really matter because we can fade it in over time. In fact, I should have done that in the waveform. Or what we can do is we can make it longer and then reverse. I like that. There's this unfortunate side effect of freezing in my projects that make it so that some of the plugins need to be reset, like I'm doing here with the automation. I don't know why that is. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. I haven't been able to figure out exactly what the reasoning behind it is, but it does happen. Have you ever considered making Psytrance FM leads on par with Technical Hitch? He has an unfair edge with his sound I've not come across others recreating. It is a little bit hard to know what he's using and to know what he's doing. There's probably some kind of like hardware synth involved, maybe like a virus or something like that. And that's true for a lot of different producers. What is the case is that when I'm trying to do sound design nowadays, I don't want to go ahead and do tutorials on other artists' sounds, I guess. One of those cool Ableton bugs. Yes, exactly. It's just a weird interaction with the fact that I have my stuff in a rack, I think. But there's no real way to do it otherwise. Because what I essentially want is I want these to be preset values, right? So there's the mapping here. They don't go all the way, for example. So that makes sure that they're preset to a way that I can always use them properly. Anyway, when it comes to making tutorials and making those kind of FM leads or making specific sounds, I don't like to mimic another artist in sound design. I like to just draw inspiration from them and see like, okay, these are the techniques that they're using. These are the kind of sounds that they're going for. And then I try my own approach to get a similar sound in terms of functionality as opposed to just chasing the same sound. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what I know.
Where are we getting our experience from?
I'll tell you what I know. I'll tell you what I know.
A bit of reverb on this would be nice.
Where are we getting our experience from?
I'll tell you what I know. 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 I'll tell you what I know.
Where are we getting our experience from?
Okay. So I need a few more of these sounds, as I said, like the soft melodic sounds that I can then turn into a glitchy sound. I should probably turn my microphone down or put my microphone down a little bit. I think I can. It's all a little bit cramped now that I have my microphone in a different place because of the monitors. Because it used to be attached to the back side of my desk, but now my monitors take up all of that space. So I don't think I have a proper way of putting it unless I put it right here next to the monitor. That's something that I can try. I have to move some cables around in a like power block thing then. That might be the only option, but now it's coming from here, from this side, and it's kind of like in front of that monitor. Not the monitor, audio monitor, but the screen, I guess. I am really happy with the new monitors. They are sounding very, very nice, and it's a whole world, a whole different experience, I guess, learning about your music in this kind of way. Because you hear just more details. There's just a lot more to hear in the music. But I do have some final issues, as you can hear, with the microphone placement that I need to fix, I guess. Let's see, an octave higher. I can kind of turn this into it. It has a little bit of a click to it, which I don't like. So maybe if we reverb it out completely. That's not what I want, though. Let's see if we can do a sound match and see if we can get some. We'll render out a couple of these, because they do have a nice modulation on them. Just a bunch of different ones. I might need to put them in different times, because they might be dependent on like the placement in the track. So that's what I'll do, like this. And then I'll freeze it. I got the Model 7, yes. The Adam Audio T7V. They are a bit big, but they aren't as bad as I expected them. I was worried that they were going to be like very deep in terms of being a lot closer to me in terms of taking up more desk space. But they're actually pretty nice. I think I posted a photo in the Discord server. Let's see. I do believe I put something in the Discord. Yeah, I put a little video in here of me doing some sound design session on a more high-tech kind of track, I guess. Higher BPM. In a bit it zooms out and then you can see. That's the camera, that's where you guys normally are. So that's the setup, and as you can see, it isn't as bad in terms of how much space they take up as I thought they would be if they were deeper. You know what I mean? Because it has the wall behind there on one part, so that might be annoying. I do keep bumping onto the microphone, so I do need a better space for it, because now it's exactly in front of my chat, but it's at the right height. Maybe if I go a little bit further back like this, I am going to be slightly quieter. Maybe, which isn't a good thing because this microphone really is meant to be fairly up close. And I cannot not have it closer to me either, because then it gets in frame and I don't like that. I think it looks terrible if you have your microphone in frame. So I'd like to not have to do that. Never show how the sausage is made. That's what they say, right? I need to reset this again because we froze this. Let's just quickly do that. I have gotten faster at doing it over time, the more that I have to do it. Okay, that's very loud.
Where we getting our experience from?
I think we can do a cool trick with a reverb on here if you take like a very big reverb like this. And just up the dry wet over here. A bit higher in the high frequencies. I like the idea. I don't know if that's the right spot for it. So let's hear it from the fill, I guess.
I'll tell you what I know.
Where we are.
I guess we could do it like this.
Tell you what I know.
We do that for everything that we have here, because we have 5 of them, and we have 4 spaces that they can exist in then, in this 16 bar section. I'll remove that for now. We'll do it in the exact same way. So delete this, and then delete those 3 and move this here, I guess. Okay. I did put the Kali on my list. Now seeing they are even bigger. 2 centimeters bigger than the ones that I have. Wow. I mean, in terms of height, that's not really an issue for me. It's that there is a good 20 centimeters between the top of the monitor and the like little slanted roof, I guess, here, the slanted ceiling that you can see maybe even in the back corner there in the camera. So for me, height is not a problem. Height is not an issue. The only thing that I thought would be an issue was aesthetically the height of the main screen that I have compared to the monitors. But because they're almost even in terms of height, and I like to have my monitor a little bit lower so that my camera doesn't have to go as high. It is still fairly high, and still the monitors are like 2-3 centimeters higher than the normal screen, or than the screen, I guess. So aesthetically, I have these 2 monitors, and then I have the screen a little bit lower. That's the only thing that right now I'm not 100% sure on. But if I do raise the screen, I would probably also need to raise my camera a little bit more, because otherwise the stands don't work. They kind of intertwine and interconnect. You could incline them, yeah. Depends on the stands that you have. My stands don't allow for inclining or anything like that. But to be honest, I'm fine with them. With the way that they came, the lowest setting is exactly at the height that you want it to be. Like so. Hello Cosmo, welcome. I want to see if I can get the tone out of it a little bit more by doing this. I don't want these to muddy up the new reverb that we have. Let's hear the B version as well. I think I like that. The tonality that we got out of it, something like this. Just adds a little bit of extra grittiness to it. Maybe we should have a little bit more of this area like that. Why is it panned so hard right there? It's already doing that. Is that the resonator? It's the resonator doing it. I guess we can... Now it's panned left for some reason. I guess it's moving around, so that's okay.
Where are we getting our experience from?
I wanted to slowly fade out this thing like this. We'll use the ambient mode because that's more like a reverb almost. As you can hear. Or we can use this, which is nice and airy. I think this will stick out a bit more.
Where are we getting our experience?
It's almost too much, like it gets louder in that frequency area. Maybe because we were saturating it a bit. We can do like this.
Where are we getting our experience from?
And just copy over these two here. Maybe I should remove this here. I like that. It's going very well. Cosmo, thank you for asking. Sorry if I'm responding a little bit late to the chat. As I said, it is a bit more in my peripheral vision, and there's a microphone in front of it currently. So I need to figure out a better way that I can have chat more towards the middle of my vision, so that whenever there's a new message that pops up, I get distracted enough that I actually look over and see. Because right now, whenever there's a new message, I just don't see it pop up. Usually when it was with the old speakers, it was a little bit more towards like the inside of my vision, and then you notice it when a new message pops in there. Chat is lazy anyway. There's not a lot of chatting going on today. That is usually the case during a production stream. Feedback, there's a lot more interaction. There's a lot more people talking about the actual tracks that are playing. Usually maybe 1 or 2 people join in during the production streams and actually start asking questions, but there's a lot of people that just want to sit back, relax, and lurk, as they say. New player, how are you doing? Welcome. That one I noticed. Because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm actively looking out for the new messages. And by the way, when it comes to the lurkers, when it comes to people that are just joining in here to watch, I really appreciate that. I really do. You don't have to come in here and chat. I don't know if that last thing that I said made it out like I like those people more. But there are a few people that interact with the chat. And obviously those are the names that you remember. Because those that never write, you never see them. But I still appreciate the people that join. I know that there's a lot of people that like to just hang out here. And I love that I can provide that to people. Okay, I want like a slow fading in, warm kind of feeling to it. I didn't even listen to the sound before I picked it. Okay, that's a bit too low. Bit nasty on the resonances. I do like the higher frequencies of this. It's a very air feeling to it. Now there's one more resonance over here that I want to tame. I think that's it in terms of the tone that I'm after. Maybe what I want to do is also overdrive it a little bit before it hits the filter. So that we do get some extra grain in it. Just a little bit. Like a very light dry wet on it. Like 10%-ish, I guess. I'm gonna freeze this so that I can edit it. I know it messes up my filters, but having stuff in audio sometimes just helps solidifying ideas. There's other ways of doing this, what I want to do here, like just removing the tail, right? But being able to see what's going on in the waveform and make some adjustments to that. So for example, right now I can add a nice fade to it in the beginning because I think it comes in a little bit too early. Something like this. Yeah, you can do it with volume automations, but now you get to actually see the waveform and it's easier to understand what you're actually doing. So let's reset our filters. This one should probably be high pass though, so that it adds extra rising to it towards the end. Might want to do volume down a bit. Okay, want to combine that with, let's do a different riser because I've been using this riser all over the place. Messing with a few different risers usually gives me better results than just having a single effect play over and over again. And it is one of the things that I hear a lot in other people's tracks is that they use the same riser or downlifter over and over again. And personally, I'm not a fan of that because it makes it very repetitive. So something like this might actually work. I also find it funny that most of the time that I want an uplifter, I go for a downlifter and reverse it. And most of the times that I want a downlifter, I go for an uplifter and reverse it. It tends to just work better for me when I have to reverse the sample. So something like this could be one of the components of this riser. I think I'll make it like a short thing like this. And then I'll add something like this. Perfect. Nice long uplifter here. It does feel a little bit loud and pressured towards the end, doesn't it? Let's have a look at the waveform. I think I want something a little bit nicer over here, but the idea is there. Is it better to use fade or automate track volume? In my opinion, it is better to use fades most of the time because it's easier to see what is happening to the audio. Whatever you do, don't automate this. This is important for mixing, especially if you mix in the same project that you produce in. You want to be able to freely move this volume around at all times. So if you do a volume automation, which has its place and time as well, it's some things are just impossible to do with fades. Like for example, if you want all of these to be different volumes. You could chop it up and then crossfade between them and then set different volumes. Or you could just, you know, automate one of these output gains and then just automate in the volume that you want. But if you're gonna do any volume automation, always do it with, I think I had a macro somewhere. Or utility, sorry. Always do it with the gain in here, with a utility like this, so that you again can freely move this up and down. What is your favorite in-house plugin? I think what you mean with in-house is like effects from Ableton itself. I don't particularly like any of the effects. Like, they get the job done and I know what they can do, but they aren't the best in my opinion. And for the instruments, it's much worse. I think that the instruments, I never use these. Even if I need a basic sine wave, I'd rather go into Serum, load another instance of Serum, as opposed to loading Operator, which just defaults open to a sine wave. If I had to choose though, I guess the one that I use the most is EQ8 as my main like standard EQ, because it does what I need it to do. For the rest, I don't know. Like, I use many of them. The Redux, the Phaser, Flanger, I've used all of them, all of the effects, but it's not something that I particularly, like, I would say like I have a favorite or something like that. We'll do a series on Aztec sound design related to Serum. As I said before, I don't do sound design just making sounds from other artists anymore. I do videos that are inspired by other artists, but in that case it's usually a track from scratch. And honestly, I don't have an Aztec track ready for that. I would need to make the track and listen to a lot more Aztecs. Not that I don't know his sound, because I listen to him all the time. But I would need to prepare something like that. Yeah, I'm lurking basically because on my second monitor I'm creating chaos. I'm a little bit behind with the chat, but I'm sorry for that. People talk so much about Fruity Loops EQ. Is it really better than EQ8? You have a few more shapes, I think. You have a few more steepnesses. One of the things that Ableton's EQ is severely lacking, in my opinion, is a 24 dB per octave slope. Because this is 12 and this is 48. And this is actually too steep. And this is usually too shallow in most cases. Like 24 is really the best filter slope, in my opinion. And it's funny to have an opinion on that. But this filter slope, this like level of steepness is good. So you can have this inside of the EQ in FL Studio. Other than that, I don't think there's many differences. For years, they had the worst analyzer out of all major EQs that I've seen. Was an analyzer that didn't tell you anything about what was happening to the actual frequencies, because it would just light up certain parts of the spectrum brighter, but it wouldn't give you frequency readouts, so you didn't actually know anything. It's just like very approximate. Of course, I'm making a mess here. Okay. Anyway, I want this to have a little bit less reliance on noise, I guess. So what that means is that I might need another atmosphere in here to go in there. Something cool happening maybe. Because right now it's just this noise part here. This is very loud actually. What we can do is remove these last two parts here and here, and then do like a little fill before it. Or just leave it like that, without any fill, so that there's just that little bit of preparation for the listener to actually hear what's going to come. Where do you find snares and hi-hats, or do you make them? Well, over the years I've just kept finding more and more packs. Here's some of the packs that I use nowadays. But I have many more sample packs, right? As you can see. So I basically, whenever I need something special, I'll go in here. These are the ones that I never really use. And then this is all of the stuff that I use on a regular. By the way, wanted to make work the analyzers.adg in Discord for Signalizer, but not sure how to do it. When I grab file in Ableton, it says it's corrupted. And when I load it into folders, also can't see it. Which version of Ableton are you using? It might be that my analyzers were saved in the newer version of Ableton. Another thing is maybe the download just got corrupted and you have to download it again. That can always be the case. Recently had somebody with my preset pack who had the same thing. In that they couldn't unzip any of the files from one of the preset packs that I made. Which I've never heard before. So I just told him, like, sounds to me like a bad download, and for you it sounds the same way, because for me they work, right? I just drop them in analyzers.adg just to check. Yeah, these are still the exact analyzers that I use. I have slightly different settings, I think, nowadays, but that's because I actually save it as a group project track, because that's how it keeps its input and stuff like that. It automatically sets up for me the fact that it's using external input and monitoring, and then the group itself is turned off, so it doesn't actually go back to the output. And that means that it automatically shows what is coming in input whenever I play anything through my system. Looks really cool, actually, my track. Love your videos, bro. I'm learning a lot. Thank you. Live Suite 11. But which, like, sub-version of it? Because I think I've saved this one in the latest sub-version of Live. Because mine... I have still like the automatic update on. I know a lot of people turn that off, but I just like this to be up to date. And it do often bring stuff out, like new, not new features, but new patches, I guess, for security or the push. But I don't use the push, so it doesn't really matter too much. Okay. I don't have automatic updates on. You should be on the latest version. If once you're on the latest version, it should work, and otherwise it's a download issue. So maybe look into that. I'm happy with this transition now. I like how it sounds. It needs some extra stuff on top. I was thinking of a vocal, but the only vocals that I think will work in this idea. Like, I don't have any vocals for this track right now laid out yet. So I would need to do something with Omnisphere. Maybe something like this could be a thing, but usually isn't. I've already used these recently, and I don't think the tone works either here. So maybe something like this. There's female 1 and female 2. Not really a fan of this. Vocal bass. Aha. Not really what I'm looking for, actually. Humming man. Okay, that's quite interesting. Maybe it was something with this kind of choir. Just like a melodic idea that works. Thank you for sharing. Could you explain the purpose of a pre-master track? A pre-master track is a track where you already sum everything together before the master. Technically, this is a pre-master track that I have over here. I should maybe show that. So this is the master track, and then I have my master track over here, and then a reference track next to it. Technically, this is a pre-master track because it's not actually going into the master, but all of my project stuff, like all of my musical stuff, goes through that track so I can master on that. Another thing, a pre-master, if you are mastering on an actual master track and you have a pre-master, is it allows you to put analyzers and other plugins that you want to use before the mastering session. So, like maybe you already want to do some gluing and you're maybe the mix engineer and you know that you want to do some gluing on there, you can already imprint that into the mix before the actual mastering engineer even touches it. So you know that you want this kind of gluing on there, you can already put it on there. Holy stream, yes. Any tips on finishing your tracks when you feel stuck? Have multiple projects. Have like 7, 8 projects. That's what I do, and it allows me to always have a track that is in a state that I'd like to work on. Sometimes I'm in a mixing feeling, sometimes I'm in a mastering feeling, sometimes I'm in a writing feeling, and I always have different interesting projects that I can work with. The second thing I've been learning to do is treating every track like you're writing the anthem of a festival. In that you want something that stands out, that makes it unique. It is good for marketability because your track being unique and not just a bunch of, I guess, overused sidetrends, synths, or sequences. It makes it more interesting to market, so more interesting for people to listen to. But also it makes it more interesting to work on because it is not something that sounds a lot like other artists. So you're feeling that you're actually making something unique and you can distinguish something that you're making from what somebody else is making. And I think that's important. So those would be, I guess, my 2 tips. Switch windows for a few seconds and I feel like I'm in church. Yes, that's what we're trying to recreate here. I'm going to make them slightly shorter so that we can glide. And then I go 2, 5, I guess. I don't like how the timbre is changing when it's pitching up and down. I like the pitch change, but the vowels should stay more the same. I wish I knew some music theory to place notes on their places. I can only do it by ear, so it takes hell amount of time. It's strange. I don't consider myself like knowing music theory at all. All of the things that I do are just patterns in the minor scale, and that's like the only thing that I know is how to count, basically. So I know that the minor scale that I work in is Frisian, and that will include these notes, I think. So this should be the Frisian scale for F sharp. But as you can see, I'm already struggling myself, kind of identifying what I'm doing. I cannot explain it. That's the reason why I never do videos on music theory, because I don't feel like I have enough knowledge to actually explain it. Over the years, though, I do agree, like, having worked so much in the same skill, it does feel automatic in terms like writing like that. And I do tend to write like that automatically, and anything that doesn't conform to that skill sounds off to me. But I do really like the music that I'm able to write in this skill. A little bit of extra volume here. I like that. What I want to do is I want to capture a little bit of this final reverb tail and then have that in there constantly playing. So we're recording this. Should remove that before people get any strange ideas. Hello, Greedo. Tried watching multiple videos on the topic, but I still feel zero progress. I think at some point I'm going to get piano lessons just for that. But you know, some progressions and stuff like spaces between the notes. I only know one scale like that, as I said. I only know Frisian. Okay, and then the minor, which the difference between the Frisian scale and the minor is this, right? So I have to think really hard doing this. Minor is like this and Frisian is like this. But if you ask me, write out the major scale, like the most used scale, I think it goes something like this, but I'm already lost. Which is funny, because you can just go to C, right? And then here, knowing this, you can write it out from C to C. That's something everybody can do because it's just the white keys. But I cannot do it for here. So I don't know the pattern, I just know the trick of being able to use C and then moving it up or down to wherever you need, if I ever need to write in minor. Raga scale is good as well. Again, that's something I don't know because I don't know music theory. Someday, though, I am going to force myself to learn it. And I think piano lessons are actually a good way of learning something like that. What we can do now is remove the reverb from there so that it stops with this thing. You can make this a little bit more stereo. And then it goes to 100% over here. This sound needs some reverb. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing like a very industrial sound. And nowadays I know every sound needs reverb on there. But that's something that I still forget sometimes like in the sound design. Just this little bit of space. Even the tonality changes completely. So a little bit lower on the high frequencies there. But you can hear... Like now the sound is standing out and it sounds bitter and doesn't sound good. But the reverb just adds that extra bit of finesse to it, I would say. It's also a bit on the loud side. I'll play it up until here, this vocal. You can't really see due to the camera. Is the camera, whenever I'm talking about music theory? Ah, it's maybe in front here. Yeah. I should lower this then to here. But then it's too low for me to do anything meaningful. I think I said in the last stream as well that I want my camera maybe up here. But I've also reconsidered that because there's a few knobs that I tend to use in here that are very important. And if I leave it below here, you won't be able to see a big part of my like mixer part. There's not really any spot that I can put the camera where it's never in the way. And I think where I have it now, it is the best place. Because when I'm browsing, I'm usually up here and looking through stuff. Also, when I have like stuff enabled in here, you wouldn't really want this to be covered up by the camera. So it cannot be higher, right? And then anything else on the screen is important. Like all of this real estate with how Ableton is designed, there's no wasted space in here. So everything, you need to basically show everything. The only other thing that I could do is maybe have my desktop not take up the whole size of the screen. And then I can have the camera like outside of the interface. You want to see the pretty projector beard. Unfortunately, the camera is not going to be in 4K. You guys don't buy enough products for me to be able to afford a 4K camera. You can lift the browser cut. I know I can have the groove pool open. So this indicates that the camera is there for me. But it doesn't help with this situation. Like, if I move this up to have more space over here, this is still going to be, the camera is still going to be in that way. Or I would need to make this, I cannot even make it bigger. I would need to make my camera smaller, which then looks strange with when I close it, I guess. Or I would need to do it like this. Which also doesn't work because then I cannot see my stuff over there. It's an annoying issue. I can leave the groove pool here so that I see, like, okay, that's where the camera is supposed to be, but it doesn't do anything for me. Because anytime that I'm, as I said, I'm going into a melody, it's still, I open it up like this. I do think maybe over here would be better to have the camera up top high. It's not like with editing. In editing, I can just place it wherever I want and even have it go out of the way in certain times. That's much easier. When it comes to the stream, I need to find a spot where I can always leave the camera there. Or I would need to make multiple scenes and switch cameras based upon what I'm doing with the mouse or something like that. Like have it programmed that if my mouse is over here, it will move the camera automatically to this position. And if the mouse is not over here in this area, it will leave the camera in this position over here. it would be really hard to do that and then also integrate the other plans that I have, which is or buying a stream deck so that I can switch to full cam, switch to different, like the break screen for my stream. Because now all of that is done manually and it's starting to look a little bit unprofessional when you consider all of the other professional things that I have going on nowadays, with like the edited content and the shorts and stuff like that. There's always going to be a piece of content that you produce that is going to be looking the least professional. You know what I mean? So I always try to go over, okay, what can I improve now? What can I improve now? And this is one of the things that I would improve. Is being able to control different scenes on my stream so that it looks nicer. And maybe I could implement, having 2 cameras and then being able to switch there. But even then, I have to, in my head, keep account of that. If there is a thing that allows it to be based on just purely the mouse position, and I can integrate that into the stream elements flow, I guess, then it could work. We could make it 1 centimeter smaller. When we open the piano roll, we can still see the very first notes. So what I want is, I always want it to be aligned to the interface. If I make it smaller like this so that you can see the notes, right? Just assume that this thing here is the camera. If I make this smaller like this, I don't have enough space to watch my sample packs or to see what's in my sample packs, especially if I start opening up different things, like the names aren't long enough. There should be, there should be examples of this happening. I guess in bigger packs, like the Cashmere pack, for example, here. If you go in here, you don't get to see exactly what is happening in the sample. So I don't want this to be bigger and then have the camera only extend to here, because then you're going to get stuff like this popping out. Right, where this lowest thing is just kind of sliced off. So I always want the interface to be adapted to the camera. Which means that I would need to put it a lot further back the camera, make it a lot smaller. Maybe I could have it in this little part here, but then the issue is, oh, what if I have effects on there? Then you guys cannot see the effects. There's so many little things in the Ableton interface that make it very hard to position your camera. When you show and explain something, do it more in the middle. I wish I could just move this to the right. That would solve everything. I can move it more to the left, but I cannot move it more to the right. Like being able to have this over here. I guess that's the only benefit of Ableton 12 for me, now that I think about it, is the double stacking that you've got going on in Ableton 12. I'm not sure if that's worth the $150 upgrade for me, but I can consider that upgrading to Ableton 12 so that I can move the piano roll basically in this space over here, right? Because in Ableton 12 you can have 2 separate windows open. I mean, your notes positioning when you're explaining skill. Yeah, but I explained it based on the white keys, so you would still need to be able to see the white keys, right? Because I explained it also using whatever's going on here. I can explain it in this small thing in that I did this for example, the major scale. I just clicked in all of the white notes. But in order for that explanation to make sense, you would want to be able to see the fact that they are white. And I don't think the difference in this bright color and this dark color is going to convey that message. To be honest, I don't even remember how I explained it properly. Whatever I explained. I think I explained the two scales that I know. Minor and Frisian. Minus 26 then. So this goes... like that. Okay. Just did a little volume balancing and making sure that the group is doing the volume and that there's always one track to 0. And I wanted to normalize this so that I have the waveform nice and big. I think right now this is maybe a little bit on the loud side. It might be nice to slowly go down in volume with this, so that it goes out of the way slightly. Many things to consider, yes, exactly. I think I want a little bit of a stronger fill here, other than the claps happening. By the way, if you're worried that I'm jumping too much from place to place when I'm producing, that's just how I work, so. I cannot really do anything about that. That's the way that my brain is wired, I guess. This is in D sharp. Let's see if we pitch that up. ADHD moments? Yes, I do think that my ADHD has an influence on the way that I like to produce, like moving around from place to place and not really focusing on one different element. That being said though, I don't find myself too much going back into elements and like continuing work that I was doing. Usually what ends up happening is that I have a few ideas that I want to put in the track whenever I listen to it. So for example, we were working on one-shots and then I made the one-shots that I want. And then I did the vocal here and I already knew like, okay, I would probably want to do some more stuff in this space because this is starting to get on my nerves, you know what I mean? It's starting to sound bad. So we rebalanced some of these. We removed this sequence in here, right? The sequence was playing before here. So now I'm working on this part, but I like to move from different issue to issue within this part. So I'll stay now in this part for a little bit and maybe make 2 one-shots, and then I'll work on the effects a little bit more. And then I'll work maybe on the fill in here a little bit more. And then I'll go back in here and work on this fill. But I try to stick as much as possible to one part. Because if I also go all over the place in terms of structure, then I know for a fact, or I know for real that my stream and whatever I do is not going to be followed by anyone. That being said, if I'm producing outside of stream, I do tend to jump around between section and section also a lot. So I'm definitely trying to stay focused, for example, today on this part over here, so that it's understandable at least where I am in the track. That being said, I do feel a little break coming up. What I'm going to do is I am going to put on some music, but I'm going to ask you guys to tune into a different set of music. Well, it's going to be the same music. I'm going to put on one of the tracks from our collaborative album. I'll put on the Dream Machine, I think. This is my collaboration with Subject Ultra, also known as BBB in my Discord server. Hence the strange name here. But this is our collaboration. You can find this collaboration linked in the description of this stream. You can also find it typing !release, I believe. Let me verify that. Release should bring up the bot. And yes, you can see the latest release there. That's the Bandcamp page, which you can find in the description. There's also a YouTube page, which you can find in the description. A SoundCloud page, I think. And Spotify as well. So if you're interested in any of the music that you're hearing today, there's many different tracks, of course, but I'm just going to put on one. Go check out the link in the description, and I hope you enjoy it. So this is streaming right now. You can add it to your playlist. Please do so, that will help us a lot. You know, getting consistent plays from people. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be right back.
This is a dream machine.
continue playing the track, but I'll talk over it maybe a little bit. Awesome music, by the way. Thank you. Glad everybody is following it. Just some analytics, some interesting things for you guys. Actually pull up live statistics from the Eclipse page here. I can show you live what people are looking at. So if you guys go listen to some of our music now, you'll show up on the stream as a little bar thing here. We'll have to see what is going to happen. Tomorrow, what will happen is the promotion material will start to come out. Slowly over the next couple of days, the first round of promotion on all of the pages is going to start to appear. We did like visuals both in short format as well as long format, and all different pages are going to have them come up as little previews, 1-minute previews, and then they're all going to link back to the music. A bit hard to listen to a stream and music at the same time. I'd rather have you listen to the music at this point, to be honest, than the stream. Just to be that honest with you, right now the most important part is the music for me. But you guys, I'll remind you after the stream as well to start listening to the music. Apparently, these two tracks were written at the same BPM, by the way. You can see it lining up here. I don't think we set any distinct goals with the group, like the all 5 people that we're doing this label with. But I do have a personal goal of getting to 10,000 views on the YouTube page. That's why I pulled up the YouTube statistic earlier, within the first month. So depending on how well the promo goes and how well I can promote it from my side, because my channel is obviously, it already has an audience. Depending on that, it we'll have to see what like what's going to happen, whether we meet that goal or not. But I would like to get to 10,000 views totally on the YouTube page for all 7 tracks combined, essentially. Seeing as we worked a lot on this part and I said I was going to do work on this part, let's continue in here. And let's actually add a couple of different one-shots in here that maybe line up a little bit more with this kind of stuff. Like more aggression. So maybe over here. Like an elongated wobble thing, I think. It's here. I want something a bit darker. Something like that, actually. I'll draw on the shape in here. I think I want something like, yeah, I guess like this. And let's Alt in here and move this, this a bit lower. You should place it in here so that we can trigger it automatically. It would be nice to, let's set something up like this. Also at a bar's length, and then we can set this to be LFO3. Then we have that kind of play between the two modulations helping each other. Something like that. Just like a nice low mid-range texture. So I'm going to remove any sub-bass frequencies. Something like that. We'll add a nice long delay on it. Nice long echo boy, I think. Let's try maybe 1/4 notes. I like that. It's a little bit too loud on the delay, but I would like it to be a bit longer. Something like that. And then we'll add a small little reverb on top, and I think that should be it. Okay, one thing that I think is missing is a little bit of extra drive upwards, and the way that I want to achieve that is with some high reverse bells / atmosphere, kind of like what we did with the other Omnisphere patch with that pad we made earlier on in the stream, where we reversed it and then kind of like opened it up over a long period of time. Let's just see if we can find some nice high frequency texture. That's going to be too low. Something like this would work, but I would need to add a lot of reverb to it, I think. Let's freeze and flatten. Okay. I should have put the reverb on it before I froze it, I guess. Because now I have to freeze it again. I don't like that single high spike that's in here. We can remove it completely with one of these. We'll lower this one, but we'll keep a little bit of it. I don't think I want that high frequency there either that much. I don't want it to, because if we reverse it, it's going to turn into like a slide into it. Right, this is no longer going to be click, it's going to be like a reverse slide thing. Which I don't want to have it take up too much energy. Of course, we have to reset our filters here. It seems to me like they do get stuck at like random positions, because sometimes you don't hear them at all, and sometimes you hear the click like it is. Sometimes you just hear the bass. So it's very strange behavior. This does really help with the transition. Maybe with this one we should also cut it, like right here. I think it's a little bit too wide now. I like that a bit more. I do want to try having a delay on here and delaying it out in this part. Maybe that's not the vibe that I want to go for. Maybe I do want to just go for... Maybe I just want to go for clean kick and bass, but this does sound like it's transitioning a lot better. I do think having the higher frequencies only in the like dry signal will work here. Guess that's a little bit cleaner. Then over here, I think we can start again with placing some more one-shots at some points, but that way we still have some clean kick and bass mainly in here. So I think that's going to go well. Hello cat making biscuits, how are you doing? Welcome to the stream. How's it going? It's going very well. Thank you for asking. One of the annoyances that I have now is that I know that now hearing my track on headphones, it's not the best way to listen to it anymore because I have these massive monitors now. And I feel like any change that I make now, I'm going to regret it once I unplug my headphones again after the stream and listen to the music again. Because there are some changes that I maybe want to make to the bassline that I feel like I should wait with until after the stream, because then I can actually hear it on monitors. The one thing that I wanted to do was add another layer to this. I do like the rhythm that we have going on here, but we can add another thingy on top. Let's just go for one of these. Just gonna see if there's like a layery thing that I can use. This already has the... Aha. Just like a extra rhythm on top of it.
I'll tell you what I know.
We'll probably end up making it more stereo as well, this layer. But I do really like the vibe that we have going now with this extra layer on top, I think.
I'll tell you what I know.
We can use this actually. No. Remove modulation, the Y level. Maybe here we can have it like go up like this. Let's delete that vocal for now because I don't like it. I like a bit of chorus on there. Nice little stereo field play on there now.
I'll tell you what I know.
It does lose a bit of its pluckiness when we open it up. Maybe it should be... shorter like that, yeah. Distortion and EQ is not needed here. I wonder what the WTF knob is going to. Wavetable position on A. Ah, wavetable. I thought it said WTF, but there's no F there. It's just wavetable.
I'll tell you what I know.
Doesn't seem to do a lot. I don't like the tone that it has now around this area, I guess.
You what I know.
So if I've laid out my cleaned up baseline and then want to go back and change it, is there an official way to replace everything with the new baseline without going and remaking each clip? Not really, unless you're doing it in a sampler maybe. That might work depending on your workflow. So you don't lay out everything in audio clips, but then you place it in MIDI and then use it in a sampler. I don't like that because it is very easy to then start doing melodies, which you shouldn't do with a sample in a sampler. You should have different notes. What you could do is make a drum rack for your melodies, I guess, and then load different samples for each of the notes that you want to play, which then it makes it less intuitive when you're actually playing it or when you're writing it in the MIDI, because then the notes don't correspond to the notes that you're playing. But I guess you have the names next to it when you see that, so it doesn't really matter. Where's this snare from? This snare is from Psychedelic Intelligence Volume 2. This pack over here. Great pack, you should get it. It's very nice. It has some proper snares. This is the snare that I used, but modified to have more of a fade out, I think. Exactly, yes. It still feels like it's very strange in terms of the click. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of the click that we have going on here. I think the stronger sidechaining might also help with the groove. This patch isn't velocity sensitive, right? No. So we can just make it velocity sensitive actually. Yeah, here. I was looking for the other LFO that I needed to replace, but it's there. Now it's velocity sensitive.
I'll tell you what I know.
We need to replace this thing here. Should copy over these because there's sometimes no ending there. I can quickly check this on monitors to see if it's sounding the way that I want it to. Let me just turn it up. It's going to bleed into the microphone, but hopefully that will be okay.
I'll tell you what I know.
You need to mute your mic if speakers are on. I know it was just temporary, and me muting my mic is a little bit of a hassle in my audio setup. I still have to use the old audio interface for my microphone because I cannot get my microphone to work with my new audio interface. So there's a few issues still. I don't know if I'm ever going to get my microphone in the new audio interface because I actually have a very strange setup with my audio routing, which includes this thing. Which you guys may know of. So you can see my microphone is going in here. I don't think there's an easy way for me to mute it to get the desired effect of it just being like not triggering, for example, the sidechaining anymore because of the bleeding. Because normally my voice ducks down the music when I'm talking so that you can hear me over the music. But if the microphone is picking up the music, it's going to duck to itself, I guess. And I cannot just turn it off here. There is a mute button over. This does not disable the sidechaining, for example. That is happening on the music because that's happening in OBS. I wouldn't say it bleeds. It should bleed very hard. So I guess I try to get the kick and bass out quick to play with ideas, but then oftentimes don't end up liking it for whatever, making all that stuff, which seems very time consuming. I do get it. Like, people spend a lot of time on their kick and bass at the start of a project to get it right and to get the feeling so that they can continue to produce with it. I do it to an extent, but what I tend to do is I get my kick and bass out quickly, 30 seconds, and then I spend roughly an hour maybe working in the idea. And at that point, I make the decision like, okay, is this idea worth finishing? If I develop this out, will it make a good track? And at that point, I start worrying about details, including in the kick and bass. So I'll re-listen to the kick and bass and add ideas like we're doing here. This one failed. I don't like the sound of it, but I would like to have an extra bit of spiciness on top, I guess. But for now, I'm just going to keep it like this. Hey dude, congrats on the new album. Love the Beyond track. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. I hope you enjoy the whole album. Not just my music. What do I do next? I guess one of the things we can do is work a bit more on the intro, which is a little bit boring. And then in the intro we can make some one-shots and use that in this part here, which we need. So let's start off the way every intro should start out. I should use that one patch that I found, by the way. That we didn't end up using in... I'll have to remember it. But I believe we had like children choir. We skipped all of this stuff and we were looking in stuff below the choir part here. I believe we were somewhere in here. Right? Or was it above the choir? Here it's still choral classical. No. Where were we looking? Gospel choir. I believe... Is it this one? The patch that I found? It might be a bit too dark for an intro. Let's see what happens if we... That is sounding very big. I do like that. Then spend time really flush out the kick and bass is the way to go. Well, the kick and bass, I leave it actually up until mixing to make the final decisions. Because you're always going to have small changes that you want to make, right? But at that point, the kind of EQing changes that I'm doing aren't necessarily bad in terms of the phase that they introduce. So what I'll do is in the mixing project, I don't have to clean my kick and bass again. I'll export a clean kick and bass. That's one of the reasons why I want my kick and bass to be super clean. I don't want anything coming through. So that that little bit of, I guess, dirtiness that I get on it in terms of the phase shift from the EQs that I might put on it in the mixing stage don't actually hurt that much. So I still have the ability to EQ it afterwards and stuff like that. And I do recommend that you do the same because the tonality that the kick and bass needs to have is going to depend very much on the context of the track, on all of this stuff. And you can only decide that in the mixing stage, right? Your final balance between all of the frequencies happens in the mixing stage at the final part of the track, once everything is in there. So you're essentially modifying everything. I wouldn't spend too much time just focusing on the kick and bass or any other element for that matter. Personally, as I said before, my production strategy is a little bit all over the place in that I just jump from part to part. I'd like to work a little bit here, then work a little bit there. And I think it's a little bit deliberate so that it never becomes boring to work on a track. Like I don't want to sit here and say, okay, now I need to make 17 one-shots for the rest of the track. That's never going to give me any proper creativity. But what does happen is if I move from one thing to the other and I have an idea here, an idea there, and I just kind of build the track up like that, that way I never become bored of the track. And to be honest, that is probably the most important part of any workflow that you might have. As opposed to, it's more important than when do I make the kick and bass. You know what I mean? As I said, there's most people that I know that are producers work on their kick and bass a lot at the start of a project. They want to have a good kick and bass when they start actually implementing their ideas. And that works for a lot of people, and it just doesn't work for me. So maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't work for you. You'll have to find that out, unfortunately, on your own. The one thing that it doesn't really make sense to copy from somebody else is the way that you'd like to work. Let's see, I would like to loop this, but I think it's not exactly loopable in that it's like this long of a loop, I think. Because this is like the start, and then the start is happening here. And it kind of shifts around. Maybe it will work like this in terms of the idea that I have in my mind. I think this might be the higher one. Yeah, because this is looping faster, so this would be the higher pitch one. I'm gonna take this and I'm going to move its automation by like this. I wanted that one sound to come in over time, but I think I'm gonna have both of them coming in with the filter here. And then just make it, the filter a little less aggressive on there. Ah, I also have this thing in here. I forgot about that, yeah. That makes sense, thanks. I don't particularly like working on the kick and bass, and generally I see it as a task that needs to be checked off more than an area of greater creativity. But if I have the rhythms where I want them, but want to change the sounds, that seems like a lot of busy work to change it. It is, I guess, one of those chores, yeah, having to change it, especially with the resampling. I do recommend everybody should resample their bassline. Because it just highlights a lot of issues that you might have with the bassline, and seeing it in audio form allows you to clean it up much easier. As I've said on this channel before, I have transcended that needing to resample. My MIDI or my bassline is still in MIDI, but there's extreme amount of care being taken to keep it in, or to make it in a way and to keep it in a way that it stays clean, right? So I have my size scope here. Again, you guys should probably not see that, but that's okay, I guess. And there should be a bassline input also coming in here. Yeah. As you can see, it sums very cleanly, and there's very little phase shifts happening before the kick. Still needs a little bit of cleaning up, I guess, in some portions. So I might work on it a little bit more. This is the effect. So that small little wiggle here, as you can see, it is negligible, I would say. It doesn't really matter. One, I guess, here. Yeah. But that is coming from all of the processing that I'm doing on here. So even in that, that phase shift is very, very minimal. But you have to take a lot of care to keep it in MIDI. This is a very nice option because it allows you to change everything about it and keep it like this until the end of the production. You don't have to resample anything. But as I said, it's really hard to keep it that way. If you don't want to do that, then you have to obviously resample. And then, yeah, replacing the kick and bass does take a lot of time. And it's annoying to do so. On the other hand, though, that resampling just makes it so that your track has, you know, the details right of the kick and bass. Oh, just keep it in MIDI and keep it clean without resampling. That's exactly what I'm doing, but that's really, really hard. A lot of producers will fail at doing so because they don't know generally how to take care of the phase. Like, you need a pretty good understanding about how phase works on kick and bass to be able to do that, in my opinion. And I don't think every producer has that knowledge. But if you do have that knowledge, if you do have the know-how, then yes, that's definitely an option. The resampling is only to solve the cleanliness problem. It is not necessarily for cleanliness itself, right? In the sense that you can make a patch that is completely clean in and of itself. How do you deal with the tail affecting the transient of the kick? I deal in it in the same way, in that the patch is clean enough by itself that it doesn't cause any issue. Sometimes I will use a little bit of LFO tool to make it a little bit more, especially when I'm doing stuff with like sliding bass lines and stuff like that. That tends to be better with sidechaining. But I try to avoid sidechaining because I see it as not really a fix for the issue. What I mean by that is, let's say that I do have some process on here that causes like big phase shifts. Let's say I were stupid and I would do something like this on my bassline, right? If I then go into size scope, you will see it's a bit of a mess over here with the transient. I guess I should show it in the rolling bassline part because that's where it's gonna be the most noticeable. Just do kick and bass. I'll just do kick and bass on its own. I guess we hear it a little bit louder now. You can see the mess that it creates here, right? And also here, obviously, because as you can see, it is creating this phase mess because there's phase shift happening here. This is the issue that you're talking about when it comes to the phase shift on the kick, right? The tail on the kick. This is the same issue that is causing the dirtiness over here. So even if I were to fix this with LFO tool, which is definitely a possibility, it doesn't fix the underlying problem of that your patch just isn't clean enough to be able to do it in MIDI, and you should technically just resample this. Why is this stupid? Because it introduces a massive phase shift that you don't need. This is the reason why it's not clean anymore. And here, as you can see, it is a lot cleaner. There's a little bit of a phase shift here. There's a little bit of volume up, which I can show like this. But this is negligible, right? One. I need to remember to keep doing one. This is negligible, the amount of phase shift, the amount of issues that causes on the transient. Here there is a problem. This is going to shift your transient in a way that probably isn't going to be beneficial for you. The kick is, by the way, twice as loud as it needs to be because of the way that I have to route this. I guess I might be able to do it like this, though. Yeah. Any more questions regarding this? Because this is an important topic on your kick and bass stuff. I think I explained everything well. I would like to know if I'm missing out on different things. Like if I forget to finish a point, I would like to know that and have you guys tell me, because then it would be better in the video that I'll end up making from now on from my streams. Because sometimes I have a conversation where I start a conversation and I just am in thoughts and I guess I start working on something, or I start zooming into the track and start producing again, whatever it is that I'm doing. Or somebody asks like a question in the chat and I just completely lose that point and I never finish it up. You know what I mean? So it's like I forget some things, and that means that I cannot put it in the video because it's going to look strange if I just start like saying, okay, I'm going to cover this topic, and then I never finish covering the topic. ADHD moment. Yes, very much. Speaking about ADHD, let's continue focusing on the intro, because that was where we were working. I think what I'll do is lower the delay on this quite a bit and then play it here. So we start up like this. And then we'll have like an impact there, which we'll have to build up to. I'm not entirely sure of that. The little triplet, you mean the 32 note, the little roll? It's not triplet, it's 32 notes, so it's playing 8 notes in the space of a beat, and in that case we have half a beat of that. And the way that I do that is I just control everything by velocity. It should not be entirely clean though. You are right in that. Luckily enough, it is exactly where a zero... It actually stops playing exactly around a zero crossing for the bass. So it kind of becomes naturally clean because there's exactly the zero crossing of this bass waveform here. So how am I doing this? Pure luck, as you can tell. This works purely by luck. It's not something that I set up especially, but it is something that you could do to make that sound better. Just to have a particular type of phase shift that makes it so that the 32 notes seemingly overlap in a proper way, and that continues the waveform. I don't know how beneficial that is though. Hello, come close. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. I guess what I want is some real world instruments on top of this. But I would like them to be like granular and all messed up and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I have some of these song starters, I think it's called. And I would like some main elements here in here. I guess this could work. It's in C minor, so we go D, E, F sharp. don't like the texture that we're getting like that. So let's try putting it into a sampler. And I think technically I could do something with the playback speed in a way. Because we can play it back granularly, I guess. And then there should be a method to slow down the playback speed gradually. Hopefully. Hopefully I can find a way to do this. Okay, we loop it. Make it 0.1. Still, technically, if I put the starting position here and then here, technically speaking, I could do it like this as well. And then we have always the one with the reverb playing, which is maybe a bit nicer. It continues the reverb because at the beginning here there's no reverb yet. What I would want is for the playback to gradually slow down. Or maybe start slow and speed up gradually. So just to make this possible, let's instead have an LFO do this from 50 to 100 and let's go up. And what we would need to do is match the rate here exactly to, I guess it doesn't have to be exact because we're changing it anyway. I do kind of like that, I think. Let's record it so we can hear the version that we have. I'm going to try and not have to resample. Or freeze, so that it doesn't change the kick and bass again. If I can record it as well, that would be nicer. What legally non-binding should one pay attention to, in your opinion, regarding copyright? My opinion is that you should work within the law. The way that I interpret it is that anytime you're using something for like actual transformation, it should be fair in the sense that it falls under fair use. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so please don't use this indeed as legally binding advice. The way that I see it is that it's mostly fair game as long as you're actually transforming it. So if you're taking a vocal that is meant for a piece of music and you turn it into another piece of music, aka remixing something, then it's hard to get away with it. But anytime you're sampling something that isn't necessarily a piece of music, it is hard to make the argument that the original material gets devalued or damaged or misused in any way, other than for being part of this creative process. In my opinion, that should be fair use. It is hard to guess because fair use is not established by the person, it is established by the courts, so you would need to litigate over that, and nobody's ever going to do that because it's just not worth the money. So if they sue you, you're dead out of luck, I think, because even if you win your case, you're still going to spend several years being in the court system. Knowing that, make sure that you choose wisely what you sample. At the end of the day, there are going to be people that are going to like sue you, but there's a large group of people that don't have the capabilities to sue you either. So it's not like ethical to then just say, okay, I'm just going to yoink all of their stuff. You can still, if they allow it, get a license or talk to the people before you sample them. I don't think that's personally necessary. It's also depending on, for example, what kind of transformation you're going to do with the sound. If you're just going to blatantly throw in a sound, then it's probably harder to just get away with it than, if you actually transform the sound and make something new out of the sound. Something like here, what we're doing is we slow down the sample and put a delay on it. That would be different from the original sample that we use for that, this little thing here. It would be really hard for a human or an algorithm to detect that these two were the same sounds, right? I don't think the length matters. What matters is, in the eyes of the law, from what I understand it, is your impact on the use or the work that you're using. How do you impact, how do you maybe devalue the use of that content? So even if 10 seconds is sampled, right, if the whole work is 12 seconds long, the courts are going to say, well, yeah, you took almost all of the work. Did you need all of that work for whatever you're doing, essentially? Do people, by watching or using your work, get a replacement for the original work? That's also an important factor from what I understand. Okay, so a bit of background. I used to edit, and I still occasionally do edit for a YouTuber called Dark Viper AU, who has a very big series, which I highly recommend, by the way, on reaction content. It's the kind of content where a live streamer, like myself, instead of making something original, will go onto YouTube, will search a couple of videos, and will just watch them with a group of people. Something that I've personally never done, because I think that it's not only bad etiquette, but it's also illegal, probably. He goes into much more detail on a lot of the copyright systems as well, included in that, but also just in general how we should treat other artists and other forms of art. And basically, ever since I watched his series on that, I've held myself to that kind of standard, I should say. So, to be honest, most of my opinion is based on both that series as well as a very good video that Tom Scott did on copyright about, I would say, 4 years ago now-ish. A very long Tom Scott video. You'll find it. Something like copyright isn't broken, the internet is. And one of the things that that video highlights is the idea that we have gotten used to getting away with it, and now we think that getting away with it is actually legal. You know what I mean? In the sense that we have been creating so many copyright infringements that don't result in anything, that we believe that copyright law isn't as strict as it's technically meant out to be. I hope I make sense here. This is where the ARP starts. Maybe I should have the ARP coming in immediately already. Like right here. So we just move all of these little things forward in time. And just lower this so it comes in more slowly. Also going to have a bit more reverb on this overall. I think what I want to do is have some volume automations in here so that this kind of comes in and fades out a bit more. I like this moment where it goes like that. So this part where it seems to resolve, I guess. But I just want to have it come in every once in a while, like we have now. And then I want some other one-shots in between. So we'll have something play like right there, for example. I guess we can just find a random cool sound in here. Kind of already have that kind of plug sound. I'd love this to be more sustained sounding. Maybe pushing it in there a bit more. That sounds kind of cool. We'll hard clip that. You can change the tonality of your clipping like this by changing the phase. So now, as you can hear, we get clipping only towards the end of it, as opposed to here, where it clips much earlier. Like we have the impact of the sound and then it goes into the clipping, which I really like. We'll add our standard delay and echo somewhere in here. I like that that seems to work together. Let's make this a bit longer. I don't know if I want to do this every 8 bars. Like, do I want to do this in the intro here? I don't know yet. Trying out the different tonalities here. Maybe something like this. We'll need to have something that builds up to it, that works up to it, I guess. It does make sense musically, the way that it's sitting in there now. Maybe that can work. If we add an impact here, it's like not at the exact spot that you would want it. From an structure standpoint, you would probably see it here. Maybe that's fun, having the ARP coming in right about there and just kind of taking over there. I don't want to do kick and bass in here because I already have kick and bass in here. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to have another kick and bass kind of going up in here with the ARP. I think. But I might be able to use this, maybe this vocal over here. This is a pretty new addition to the project, so maybe this works and I haven't tested it yet. probably want to do something like this to keep that tail clean. Let's grab 2 segments in front and go like this. So what's the deal with labels, and why do you want one, and what does it do for you? Well, when it comes to this label, the idea is that it's like a collective project that we're all working on. In the sense that before, we were just 5 guys kind of like sometimes publishing our music, sometimes just posting it on SoundCloud and sharing it with our friends. And this really gives us a reason to always, you know, sit down and make stuff that is actually going to release to a public, to a group of people that are going to listen to it. I think partially that changes your view on making music. At the end of the day, you're making a product at that point, so you're taking that into account. The other thing that it does is it allows you to get more exposure for your music and make potentially some money out of it. And that's the end goal, is to make a profit doing this, right? Making music, turning it into a more viable career. So I think that this, for me specifically, is like a stepping stone into something bigger. Maybe with the label, in that it grows so much that I can, or that we can, I don't know, play some festivals or stuff like that. At the end of the day, having a label behind you makes it look more professional as well. But the other thing that it does for us is that we have a common project. We have a common goal now. How do you do that thing where the bass line comes in like this? The kick and bass comes in like this by high pass filtering it. I have a high pass filter going down. Devices simpleton. Just a high pass filter, has some Q on it, goes down. The low pass filter also goes down over time. And then here we have the normal kick and bass setup that we're all familiar with. So you can see high pass filter, low pass filter going down, and the Q going down as well. I don't know what it is, but I feel like the quality of your sound has reached another level during the last year. Love it. Keep it going. Thank you. Well, I know what it is. It is the fact that I have now spent another year working on music professionally. And I've been able to make investments into that music. Most recently, obviously, the monitors, which I'm super excited about. And I think will actually be one of the biggest upgrades to my music coming forth. So I think a lot of the stuff that you're going to hear that isn't released yet is going to be much better. Because I now have the monitors. On the other hand, not having the monitors and still being left with those small speakers meant that I need to take a very technical and analytical approach to my music production. And I think a lot of the problems that other people have with their music comes from the fact that they just listen, which is normally a good thing. But for somebody that couldn't hear everything, being very analytical and being very using analyzers and using a lot of thought into like what I'm doing in terms of keeping the kick and bass clean, but also extending that idea to other principles of the production and the mixing, I guess. It gave me a very unique approach to music production, and I think that in the last year since I went full-time artist, I've been able to perfect that a lot more. It's been a lot easier for me to work out some of the kinks in that workflow. So I think that's the big reason why over the last year, especially, my sound has just improved so much. Above, I would say, like the natural improvement that anybody has when they add another year of experience on their resume, I guess, or whatever you want to say. Because at the end of the day, it is natural for your music to become better over time. As you learn more music production stuff, as you tune your ears better, any artist will become better and better and better, technically. Obviously, there's going to be a limit to that, and some say that there's artists that actually go down after that. But I don't think that that's true from a technical standpoint. I think that might be true from a subjective standpoint. Subjective is the one where you have an opinion on something, right? In the sense that, for example, Linkin Park nowadays makes much more poppy music than they did 10 years ago or 20 years ago, I guess, when they were at their peak. And a lot of people say like they have gone downhill in that they're making music that isn't as good as their old stuff. I think any artist would smack you rightfully in the face if you say stuff like that to them in the face. But you hear it a lot on like internet fora, people saying like, oh, the old stuff is better. It's a very big thing in Psytrance as well. The part of the community being like, oh, but the old stuff that was so much better back when the rate like in the 2000s, right? Everybody says like, oh, the golden era of Psytrance. I don't like that because it implies that everything after that has been going downhill, which cannot be the case because naturally there's improvement. What can happen is that your taste changes, right? That you have a certain taste for an old genre, and in the same way an artist will have a certain taste for the music that they like to produce, and that may change over time. I know for a fact that I used to work a lot more with vocals as my main idea for a track, in that I would write out actual vocals. Like if you know my album, my Stories of the Mind album, I wrote out all of the vocals and had voice actors read them out because I wanted to know exactly what was being said. I wanted to really be in control of the theme of the track. And I've let that go a little bit because now my idea is that I can write a track in a way that for me, the theme is there. I can hear exactly what the track is about. But for the listener, it can be a mystery and they can kind of fill in the space for themselves. So they can give the track meaning by themselves. By just spoon feeding just a little bit of theme to them, right? Not too much. Like, for example, a vocal like this wouldn't work in my album.
I'll tell you what I know.
Like the vocal, I'll tell you what I know, wasn't on the nose enough. It wasn't about any subject matter. So I wouldn't write that into my old music. But nowadays, I think that's one of the improvements that I've made as well. Is I guess I leave more up to the listener in terms of interpretation. I hate everything I did last week. It means that you're progressing very fast. That's very good, actually. Okay. I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna go... something like this. Like nice and white stereo on here. That over here is sounding a bit strange, so I'm gonna have this continue like this, maybe even. Can you speak to more like having a theme as a project, or like say I want to do a full-on and also a forest and also high-tech, when would you release these under different project names? Personally, I like to think that putting all of your music under the same brand is a good idea. Like what I do on YouTube, for example, I do tutorials also on high-tech, and I plan to release in the future a high-tech EP at some point. But that's a long-term project. I would still publish that under my normal name because I think that that's good for my identity, my brand, in that people will realize, oh, he knows how to make that kind of music and this kind of music, and they maybe will respect my tutorials more. I'm a little bit in a strange spot with that because obviously I do the tutorials, right? So that's a different consideration than most would make. But personally, I see a lot of benefit in keeping everything under the same umbrella because everything then promotes everything. If you have multiple projects, you would also need multiple promotions for all of your projects to succeed. But sometimes there is a reason to separate it in that you think that aesthetically somebody who likes one part of your discography might not enjoy a different part of your discography, and therefore you need multiple projects. Or maybe you want to work with one artist on one idea and another artist on another idea, and you want to, I don't know, have a solo project and work with an artist on like collaborations a lot. In those cases, it would make sense that your solo artist or your solo tracks and your collaboration tracks are two different projects, so that people can easily distinguish between those two. Without knowing more of the details of your specific situation, I wouldn't know how to answer that question like properly and give you an actual recommendation. Or like a lot of labels seem pretty focused in their style. Yes, that is something that we have discussed as well as we started out, and we are going to stick fairly closely together in terms of style. There are a couple of guys, mainly I would say Lunarium, who does a little bit more aggressive, and he does a lot in D sharp, which is a darker key than what I do, and for example Mind B does. But we are all slightly flexible. What we do tend to stay like around the same BPM range, and we'll always be making, I guess, kind of full-on / progressive stuff, kind of in between. So in that sense, we are also kind of committing to a style because it does give the listener security that what they're signing up for is always what they're going to get. So will you release your high-tech on a different label? I will probably self-release that when it's ready, when it's finished. It makes the most sense for me to self-release that because it's going to be one of those projects that is mainly for the YouTube channel, I guess. It is a kind of project that allows me to say like, hey, this is what I can do, this is what I can make, look at my tutorials. You know what I mean? So that people have confidence in the music that I guess I'm writing, and it will be more valid for my tutorials, I guess. I'm also doing it because I just like to do it. It's only the release consideration is because I want to do it for the YouTube channel. The core reason why I'm making the EP is still because I like to do it, and I would like to learn how to make high-tech, and I would like to make some proper high-tech. But how I'm going to release it is dependent on what gives me the most benefit, and I think that would be releasing it as a standalone release, something that I do for my YouTube channel. And probably I'll either release it only on YouTube or only on SoundCloud, something like that, like a small release, not even pushing it out to labels and such. I say labels, but I meant, streaming services. Because now that I have my own label, I don't need another label to do that. I am pretty happy with the progress for today. We worked a lot on this first part, and I think it's starting to sound a lot nicer in terms of ideas. I do want to continue a little bit more, but I want to take another quick break. What I'm going to do is I'm again going to put on a track, but I urge you guys to go ahead and go to our label to listen to some music as well there. Again, this is going to be a little bit of a plug. I am able to see the amount of music people watch here. As you can see, we're not above 500 yet. At the end of the stream, I would like to be at 500. Is that too much? With the amount of views that we're getting an hour? Yeah, we're getting 18 views an hour. I think I'll stream for another hour-ish, hour and a half, maybe. Oh, and by the way, if you're watching any music, don't click on the video, leave a like, comment, and then leave the video. That's a bad idea. It's better that you watch the whole video rather than comment and like, for example. Or having it playing in the background, something like that, also works. Which one should I put on? I'll put on. This is the most popular track as of now. This is Substance by Subject Ultra and Mortek. Mortek is in the chat, by the way. Real Alex. Sorry if you didn't want to be called out, but I think your track is amazing, so I'll give you credit where credit is due. Anyway, I'll take a quick break. I'll leave this on for you guys to listen. If you find this music interesting, in the description you'll find streaming services, Bandcamp links, and a YouTube link as well. And you can support us on all of those platforms. We do highly appreciate the support. By the way, all of the money we're making with streaming as well as the Bandcamp account is going to go into one big pot, which we're going to be using for promo. So it's hopefully a cycle that's going to help us improve even more. So if you purchase the album, you're directly contributing to the success of this label. Just so that it's clear. Nice.
found that music and psychedelics can impact our well-being powerfully. Two fundamental human experiences through psychedelic drugs.
Right now we're listening to some music, Cat. We just came off a break. For anybody wondering where they can find more of this amazing music, link is in the description. Links, I should say. First 4 links will take you to the pages of my label, which I recently started, where you can hear a lot more of this kind of music. Very nice. Very nice track, of course. Made by Subject Ultra and Mortec. Mortec is here in the stream chat under Real Alex. Subject Ultra was also here earlier, but I don't know if he still is. Hasn't typed in a while. Anyway, I think this part is a little bit bland at the moment, in that there's not much happening after we have this very cool intro. I do also think that at the start of the intro we should have something, because now it just kind of starts like from empty. I think there should be a big effect sound maybe here. Let's see if we can find something that would work. Let's see, maybe there's some kind of stab that works. Sounds very dark. I don't know if I like the darkness that it has. Maybe an octave higher? Sounds a bit too electronic to just have it as the stab. What if we do like this? And we'll have a delay on that. Maybe like this, having just a step in there every once in a while. It all sounds a little bit disconnected. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not playing together. Maybe here the steps work better.
I'll tell you what I know.
Where are we getting our experience from?
Okay. I think then having the step play this many times in the exact same way is probably a bad idea. So I'm going to filter it in over the first two. Like, say, like here. Just like this. Maybe it's a good idea to have this play here as well. Although I don't like it. I think it's good without it. That sounds better to me. In terms of other effects, I do think a little bit of vinyl noise and a little bit of ambience in here would pull it all together. So I think I'm gonna go with something like this. I would like some rain. Or something like this can work. Just something watery. Oh, that's the wrong thing. I wanted a utility. Just so that we can have it come in. Kind of have it flow out to the background like so. I would still have to figure out if I like the fill the way it is, because I don't know if I'm a fan of what the bass is doing there. I was doing something special where the bass just kind of comes down, like a little bit, right? And it stays here and plays the part of the kick as well, in that there's now a bass note where every kick should be as well, in here, 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 and here. So it plays the part of the kick there too, but I think it sounds a bit odd. Maybe I should indeed leave it on the same percentage as this is, which is 0.54. I wanted this in reverse in here. It's like a very low layer. I'll go with very big spacious reverb on top so that it kind of fades out. I don't think I want this one then. I like the vibe that we're going for there. What I'm going to do is quickly record it so that I can see if everything is okay with the waveform. Like no strange issues sticking out. Structure-wise, what I'm doing is pretty standard here. I think what I want to do is add a bass part to this, so this becomes a bit louder. And a little bit more strong, I guess, as well. One thing that I'm hearing is that I want a reverse reverb on this sound here. Because it kind of just comes in out of nowhere. So I want a big splashy reverb on this. I guess there's some EQing that may need to be taken over now. Okay, let's freeze and flatten that. And then we will do like this. I will group these together, and then I'll copy over the volume to here. At least the reverb is gonna go on here. This is gonna be consolidated. So that gives us minus 13 dB. I'll probably go down by like 4. So we get now something like this. Of course, we have to reset our filtering to be able to hear how it's gonna sound in proper mix, I guess.
I'll tell you what I know.
I think this is happening too often too still. So I'm going to take this and move it to here. And this one to there.
Where we gain our experience.
Or should we place this here? This makes more sense maybe. I like this. I would like it to be a bit louder. Minus 13 then. Means that we're gonna EQ it as well a bit. Just to test what happens if we also don't play it in here. That leaves a very little space for the idea maybe. I think I like that. I think I like what we have going on in, for now, this part of the track, in terms of the main ideas. And that's still, this is very much in still the beginning part of the production process. And I'm just like trying out ideas and stuff like that, seeing what sticks. For now though, I think I'm going to end the stream here for today. I had a lot of progress, but I need to work on some other things now. Making sure that you guys have videos to watch next week, because for this week everything has already been set up and prepared. But yeah, that means that I'm going to end it here today. For all of those still watching and still listening to me and not just having me on in the background, go to the first 4 links in the description of this stream and listen to our music. I was gonna say like we wanted to get 500 views at the end of the stream, but I think I'm cutting the stream shorter than I initially wanted it. So I don't think we're going to be there yet. No, of course not. We're still not there, but hopefully we're going to get it today. And the main important thing is that you guys actually watch it to enjoy it, right? That you guys listen to it the whole way through is a good indication, for example, for YouTube, to send the music out to other people, saying like they will enjoy it too. The other thing is, commenting and liking the things also helps, but not just clicking on and then clicking off immediately. YouTube wants you to stay on the platform as long as possible. So as long as you guys are maybe like streaming our playlist, that's a lot better if you do it over a couple of hours than just one time through. But that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you guys need to listen to the music that you guys like, and on the platforms that you like, and in the exact way that you like. Just saying, like, don't go in there and try to like farm clicks or anything. Just actually listen to the music and enjoy it. But if you do want to listen to the music and enjoy it, as I said, down in the description below, you can find it on all different platforms. You can buy it to support the artist and to support our promotion. But yeah, that's going to be it. I hope you enjoyed the stream, and I hope you had fun. And we see each other